Captain Torrance, flight commander. How can I help you?
Jerry's dedication to the film is making sure that it delivers what's promised.
Flight turned the plane upside down. It's ridiculous, but it was fucking work.
Working with him, he brought out the best in me, and definitely others.
My people just want to go home.
Growing up watching his movies, getting to be here, working with him, it's kind of surreal.
1 minute at a time.
You know, learning from other actors, taking those moments to watch and just listen and learn is priceless. You know, it's like the masterclass. So yeah, working with Gerard was just brilliant.
Okay, everybody follow Mr. Kelly.
He is a machine, I'll tell you what. But he wants it to be good at the end of the day.
I think Jerry, the first day, you know, he's a collaborative guy. You know, he's somebody who understands that this is something that everyone has to take a part in, and the film will only be as good as the people in the smallest parts and who's invested in. You can see that. You need people off screen to still deliver. You need people who are in crowd scenes to still have the energy.
He's joking with everyone, cast, crew, you know, he's saying hi to everyone. You know, where energy's needed, he's bringing that energy and making sure everyone else is bringing it too.
Can't do a fucking sport?
Yes, sir.
Do it, please. I'm so
Yeah, give me one.
Put a t-shirt or a pair of shoes up there or something.
I think as the lead actor, it's one of my responsibilities, and as one of the producers on the movie, to do your best to make sure that everybody has as good a time as possible on set. That's really important to me.
Do you want to make it terrified?
Most of this movie is very, very serious. It's heavy, and he does that stuff incredibly well. But like they'll say cut, and then a joke comes out, and it like lightens the mood immediately, and the funny one-liner and the funny quip.
In fact, if you do encounter someone who's warm and gregarious when the camera turns off, consider yourself very lucky. And Jerry is one of those people. He wants you to do your best, and he also wants you to have fun, because you're not gonna make anything good if you're not having fun, and he gets that.
Making movies can be hard, it can be exhausting. Sometimes you're doing dark and emotional stuff, and everybody's tired, and you're working long hours and long days, and it just seems to never end, and maybe in inhospitable conditions, or like in Puerto Rico where it was incredibly hot and humid. So for me that might mean, you know, just making sure that you're going around laughing and joking with everybody, because you appreciate that everybody is working hard.
Every day he shows up, and even though it was a really tough shoot, he never really complained at all. He was always prepared, knew his text, knew exactly with what he was going into it, knew everyone's names, was very sweet to everyone on set, and really tried to have a conversation with all of us. And I think his work ethic really inspired all of us to really show up every day and give it our best.
Here, pass him down. Here, take another one. All right. Does anybody want more? One more water, please.
And I've worked on many sets when, and especially before I was a lead, you know, where the atmosphere wasn't good, and it's hell. It can really be hell if there's not a good atmosphere. And I've just always felt terrible to see people not being happy on set. So even if that means that you're running around with water, you know, passing it out, just to let people know that they're not being forgotten about, that they're being seen for what they do.
And, you know, not all movies are like that. Not all number one on the call sheet are like that.
I think it's especially hard there's a lot of crew, and they don't even know what the story's about. You know, they're the ones running about doing other things. They're not, at least as an actor, I get to be telling the story and know what's happening. I mean, some of them are just there day in, day out, and they don't even know what part of the story is happening or what. So I think it's good to let everybody know that they're all part of the family, and they're all an essential element of that. And that none of this would work if it wasn't for any of them.
No! I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Do it. I want you to.
And if that's the case, then we might as well have a bloody good time doing it, because when you are acting, you spend a hell of a lot of time at work.
Working with Jerry was definitely a dream come true, but also now understanding why people put him at such a level. He has such an eye for detail.
When there's no power, right? Which nicely leads me into the next bit, because I'm saying we need to get power back so we can draw it down from the battery. You know, if that happens, then maybe the transponder, we can get that working again. But
He knows exactly what he wants, and what he wants is usually really, really good. So
I realized that he was a collaborative artist and someone that wanted to get the best out of me, and he wanted to sort of make it work for both of us so we could always trust that if we had ideas, we could share them. And that's great.
now here's the thing.
Oh,
Question
where's
is
that?
in the blocking, whether I walk away saying all that stuff.
I don't think he just because later, when I'm packing up and I go, hey, they're gonna find a truck we can just get out and walk on foot, and he's like, you coming with me? That's another beef. So I think I think so, right?
Yeah, I don't think we need that, yeah.
First and foremost, he's an action star. He's done a lot more action movies than I have. And he's also had 30 years of experience under his belt. So not only is he an actor in this movie, he's also a creative producer. You know, he makes a lot of creative calls within the scenes. And I find the whole process of this film, of the plane, being very collaborative. There's no ego on set. It's everyone is there wanting to make the story better.
Actors, the scene needs to make sense to them. You know, some actors will have many questions about how they block a scene, how they do it, what their purpose is, why they're going through that door instead of that door. If that person is the producer as well, you know, it's not just about the scene, it's about more things than that. But
You like better?
I think I prefer the fucking mad one.
Yeah, because when you leave him, you're like...
Exactly, and that's what I was doing, but I don't think the other one's working.
Name it down because it's going sand, Because as a lead and a producer in a movie, you do want to get involved and you want to make sure that you believe what you're seeing. You want the audience to be able to buy what you're seeing because it's your face on screen, it's your product, and I think he's invested in it because it makes sense to be invested in something that ultimately is going to be a Gerard Butler movie.
Once I'm doing the plane stuff, and I make my speech to the passengers, and then it's up to them. I'm flying this fucking plane. Yeah. I actually, if they didn't get on that plane, I would leave them.
Yeah.
You know, that's their choice. They want to fucking stay and deal with us, you know. But I also think that I know they'll get on the plane.
Yeah. As a producer, I get more of a chance to put more thought and preparation into the story. I've always been a bit like that myself anyway, really kind of attention to detail, perhaps a bit OCD. and I found that once I got into films that I had a chance to really ground a story, to make these fantastical stories often and then ground them, and you do that by attention to detail, because I'm often taken out of movies myself when I see something that is just convenient or lazy or not truthful.
My purpose is what? Just checking the plane? Checking, but more.
But these are discussions that do need to happen because to get into a scene where the actor or the producer isn't confident that it's going to work, even if everybody else is, I think you need to work those things out before you commit to doing it, because you need to proceed together believing that the thing you're going to do is going to work.
I mean, speaking for myself personally, after I directed my first film, my understanding of what my role was as an actor on a film completely transformed, because I realized there were so many parts of the filmmaking process that I didn't understand. At the same time, when I started directing and then after a while producing, my experience as an actor was just so incredibly helpful to the whole process of storytelling. And I realized that I knew a lot of things that, you know, directors and producers who don't come from an acting background just don't understand.
I like this guy. I get very obsessed in rounding everything and making it as real as possible, and then always searching for those moments that are either curious or surprising or emotional.
The guy was, you know, would think about every scene, even scenes he wasn't in, he would watch and be like, that doesn't make sense, or that didn't feel right, or we should adjust this. I mean, that producer credit with this movie is like, it is not because he's an actor. That is because he produced the movie. You know, he was active in every single scene and every line in that movie. He knew what was happening and what was going on.
I've worked on other films with actors, but I've never seen anyone at this level of detail, which is great, because I think that it bleeds to the rest of the cast on the movie, where they follow Jerry's example, and like the ability to keep up with that, because it's like whether we're at hour 1 of the shoot day or hour 12 of the shoot day, he's able to keep that intensity going while keeping the humor going at the same time, which is a balance that I couldn't manage.
I couldn't dream of a better first experience because I'm in I've been here on set for 2 months now, and I get to see how everything works. When I don't have dialogue myself, I get to see and observe, when Jerry's doing his scenes. It's like almost being in school.
He cares always, every day, for the most important thing we have to keep in mind. The motivation of each character. So, is it an actor job? Is it a producer job? I don't know. I don't know which part it is, because Jerry was involved everywhere. First to choose me too. And I will never accept a movie if I feel we don't want to do the same movie.
But the radio, I smell it and go, done, melted, burned. And then the transponder, it's hard to tell without any power,
Like any discussion that he was having or wanted to have with Jean-François, with me, with any crew member, it was to do with the scene we were shooting. So it's relevant.
But every day on the set, we took the script, we read the thing, and it's okay, what is the motivation for him? What is for the most important thing? When you know the motivation, I think it's more important than camera movement, light. It's motivation, because audience care about characters. The characters tells the story. So every day, when you are tired, say, okay, maybe I will forget this. Jerry never. Never. So yes, I think he's an amazing producer and an amazing actor for sure.
I often, when I'm making movies, see myself as an audience member, and I think, we're taking them on a journey, and we want to make that journey as believable and as exciting and emotional or scary as possible. They're paying good money to go and see the movie, so I want to do the best job that I can. So I'm always looking for anything that we can be caught out on. So I guess that can be quite annoying to other people at times, but I can sometimes be the worst case scenario guy and say, we have to cover ourselves there. But then also looking for the moments of magic. What is it that's going to excite an audience or move them or be surprising or again, like I say, make it more visceral.
Once I start the engines, you have 2 minutes. I'll leave the stairs down.
Roger that.
I can't get on that plane with you, right?
Yeah.
As a producer on the movie, you look at those moments, and it is slowing you down, and the AD will look at you and give you the whole, we got to make our day. But you hear what's going on, and you're like, sometimes, to save to go into an hour of overtime, maybe it's better to go that extra mile and make it a little bit better by talking these things through.
It's one of the advantages of moving beyond an actor and be able to tell stories that you want and in a way that you would like. And I get to make everybody else crazy. A movie, it's only as believable as the world its characters inhabit.
As an actor, you need to believe who you feel like you're portraying. You need to feel like that person, and small details do matter. The kind of watch you may have on, if you have one, the kind of shirt, the shoes, the pants.
It's massive for an actor to feel and look the way that matches your character, your personality in the movie, you're this, because at the end of the day, you're becoming that, and you're looking in the mirror, and if you're not seeing what you feel you should be seeing, it's hard to then be that, portray that.
Yeah, I mean, you have to wear what you like. I think costume designers realize, like, if you're going to wear this one thing, the actor really should like it.
Each actor, they have many choice, but we did with Erin first, we did the first selection, and they choose inside.
Fittings with actors are always a little bit of like a psychology game. You're as the costume designer, the costume team, you're typically the first person who's going to meet the actors before any of the other crew. I mean, sometimes I'm in fittings before they've even met the director or producers in person. And so it's always setting a tone.
She would give us options, for example, let's say 7 pairs of shorts and 8 shirts. And she really let us be part of the process and see what we felt more comfortable in.
She's really talented because she'll honor what the director wants, but she's also extremely communicative with actors and how actors see, what they're going to wear, their character decisions. Someone who's able to incorporate everyone's input into something, it's not easy to do.
Everyone, this is David Scarsdale. He specializes in corporate strategy and crisis management.
Yeah, I was lucky because Aaron and I had very much the same approach to Scarsdale. He was written as being a military guy. And what I was interested in was that, like many special forces operators that you might meet, you would have no idea that they were possessed of the skills that they have. So I said to Aaron, I'd like to just lean away from the kind of military, bearing of this guy, and that he's really more of could be anybody, a successful businessman in a nice suit, and you would have no clue what he did. Captain Torrance, my name is David Scarsdale. Tell me what you need.
I always make sure that I study the character in my way. Like, how do I see this person? What could their backstory be? And so when they come into the fitting, I always have several different options. I do a lot of research online of like colors that look good on them and press releases and stuff like that. I call them and have phone conversations and say, do you like a spread collar? Do you like a point collar?
Costumes are really big, really important. Shoes are really important. Even if you don't see shoes in film and television, sometimes you don't really focus on them. For me, it's essential to have the right shoes on. Be comfortable if that's what I desire. Maybe I choose for them not to be comfortable for a different reason. But I need to know that they fulfill the vision that I have in my head, because it can be something very small and it may mean nothing to anyone else, the director, the producers, the writers.
She listens to the actor and, we throwing a few ideas around.
Joey was fun because he came into the fitting and I had like 5 or 6 options and we both were gravitating towards the same thing. It was like 1 shirt, 1 suit, and pick your shoe.
We had a little bit of discussion about shoes. We had a couple pairs of shoes. I tried on one. I was like, yeah, with some combination of shirts and stuff. And I said, I think these other shoes.
And it was funny with the shoe because he gravitated towards like the clunkier one. It was actually a little bit more fashiony. And once we put it on him, he's looking in the mirror and he's going, I don't know. Like, would Sinclair wear this actual shoe? And then once he put the other one on, he was like, this is it. This is perfect.
I don't know. It's just something you feel. It's a gut instinct. And I think she's like, great. Go with that. Go with your gut.
Even with the uniforms, airlines technically distribute uniforms to all of their workers, but it's even how Daniela's collar is styled. We style it differently, so it's still, you have a little bit of a kiss of personality.
She showed me all of the different choices and why this was the airline because, this, that, and the other thing. And she's like, and your one little outfit is going to go through a long journey. There's going to be Bonnie's outfit at the beginning, and there's going to be Bonnie's outfit at the end of the film. And these are all, it's the same wardrobe, but it's a totally different existence.
Obviously, we don't shoot in sequence, so there are days where this shirt is slightly dirtier than tomorrow, and then halfway through tomorrow's day, we have to go back to having our first part of the uniform where everything is crisp and spick and span, and it's been so much fun. Even though it's just this one costume, kind of seeing how those mini tiny transitions make sense throughout the length of the production.
You're going and checking, we're shooting scene 36 today. Where was Daniela in scene 35? What stage and level of dirtiness is that? In Puerto Rico, it's been difficult to find multiple. So a lot of times we only have 5 shirts for Daniela, but she's got 6, 7 different stages of aging. And so a lot of times you're washing a shirt because tomorrow she's supposed to be clean and buttoned up. And then the next day you're going back to the drawing table and you're saying, okay, now she's level 6. So she's got to be really dirty.
I gave to them some reference for in chronology with the script. So this is the level, for example, of dirt. Here, for this one, it's like this, and after they manage alone. I trust them.
And every day we would come in the trailer and be like, oh, it's that kind of day.
It's only as believable as the world its characters inhabit. And our fantastic costume designer, Erin Knight, in designing a totally believable environment for the crew and the passengers of Trailblazer Flight 119. It's really fantastic to watch.
DSN, this is Trailblazer 119. Do you copy?
I think if you're making an action film, especially one that involves planes, massive sequences flying through storms, dangerous militia with loads of guns, and gunfights and fistfights and fast-moving vehicles with gunfights moving alongside a moving plane, that's a lot of stuff to be contending with. And even though it is supposed to be dangerous and chaotic and supposed to look like that and feel like that, the artistry is how do you create that danger and chaos without it actually being dangerous and chaotic.
Don't fucking move. Where is good?
That's good. That's good.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's the art, right? If I heard people, my career is not going to last very long. So it's an illusion that we create.
And 3, 2, 1, go!
I would say on this movie, we've put some of the actors in spots. We've pushed on that.
How are we going to portray the most realistic action and do it in the safest way? And so I always felt like I was in good hands. And also, Jim's very communicative. Like, are you comfortable with this? Do you want to do this? You don't have to do this. If you don't want to do this, we can figure out another way.
And that was his priority. And before any dangerous situation involving guns or involving possible risks or where they were manhandling us, he talked to all of us, asked if we were okay with it, if we had any injuries. And just by telling us what was going to happen and ensuring that we were all on the same page, it was a very safe environment.
Name, country.
Ray Taylor, American.
Name, country.
For me, I have like about 8 years of stunt experience. That's my bread and butter. I was fight coordinator for The Punisher. I mean, fight coordinator for Daredevil. So when it comes to shooting guns and fighting, I'm pretty confident.
If my hand's right there, I'll manipulate like this. If I'm manipulating with the other hand, then I'll come. But I'll never. Those hands, where they end is where they live.
And Jim was very respectful, and he did ask me, did I want a double for any of the scenes? And of course, I would say yes. If something wasn't in my wheelhouse or my expertise or knowledge, I would definitely give it to a stuntman because, you know, I love stuntmen. That's where I come from. But I was extremely confident and capable of doing what this movie asked for.
The movie, it was funny going into it. I wasn't expecting it to be that physical. And then for me, there's a couple of moments that, you know, I end up getting shot and I wasn't going to get shot. I end up, you know, with a couple of extra stunts that were thrown in there, which I love. You know, I love doing the stunts. Jim, our head of stunts, me and him got on great because, He was like, "You all right doing that?" I'm like, "I want to do it. Yeah, I want to do it." He's like, "Do you think you need a knee pad?" I'm like, "No, don't give me a knee pad." He's like, "Well, you probably need one." But it ended up being a lot more physical than I expected.
There was a lot going on in our film in terms of action, really from start to finish. And you wanted it to be as believable and as kind of scary and to maximize its impact, including this one fight that I had to do.
People shouldn't notice it for this, but that fight, which I think works really well, that's one take, about a 2-minute long take.
You know, we put together a little fight and shot it, and you know, it was about a 2-minute fight. And that turned into one take. Let's do the whole fight in one take with our lead actor, smashing into walls, flipping over desks, you know, a real gritty, like he's not a trained fighter in the film, so he's just a normal guy trying to survive.
This is rare, but to do a fight with one camera and just shoot the whole fight, because normally you break a fight down into 5 bits, 6 bits, 7 bits, and you just do it each piece again and again and again and cover it in different ways. But we just practiced it and practiced it and practiced it because every hit, every move had to be right for the one camera. And if you made one mistake, you had to start from scratch.
We didn't use a stunt person. It was Jerry doing everything. Now, physically, to do a 2-minute stunt scene, if you're not been serious training, that's tough. Just physically going. It's tough for him, and it's tough for Eric, the camera operator. But myself and Jean-François felt that that scene would be amazing if we could do it as a one-take thing.
Gerard just stepped up. I mean, I don't know what other actors we could do that with, but Gerard was all in.
Rarely do you make them that long and that they work. But again, that was where Jim had to be very involved to make sure that nobody, including the crew, were getting hurt because there was a lot of stuff flying around.
We have to protect everybody, but not just the actors. Everybody.
Especially recent history is on everybody's awareness, you know, that we have to be as safe as possible in these circumstances and yet not take away from the excitement and the drama.
But all I know is I think we got a great shot. That scene is really good. And again, having Jerry, he's the actor, he's a producer, he's on the set. It's like Jean-François presented it to him, knowing that it was difficult. And even if Jerry was hesitant at the beginning, he went with it. And it was really good. I think Jerry himself was really happy and proud that he did that.
I knew it would be challenging, but it was even more challenging than I thought, which, by the way, was perfect for the movie because a big part, almost a character in this movie is myself and the rest of the crew and the passengers having to fight the elements in this incredibly hot, sweaty island in the middle of nowhere.
We don't put water on them just before the shot. So it was real. And when they are tired and exhausted, it's real too. So it was very interesting for this story. You have to take the difficulty and transform in energy, you know, transform into good things for the movie.
We're in the heat. You know, there's moments where we have to look exhausted, but yet still have enough energy to, you know, hear if there are some rescuers coming.
The challenges are gifts in some ways. I mean, you know, the heat, the elements, the unforgiving sun. I mean, many days we were out shooting on location and we were in the low 100s, you know. And that's with the humidity. I mean, the humidity is just unbelievable.
It's funny, it doesn't matter who you are. If you served in Iraq or Afghanistan and, you know, Baghdad in August is like 150 degrees and it's so hot. And there's always the one guy that's like, well, at least it's a dry heat. And you're like, whatever, dude. This is not a dry heat. This is a very moist heat.
I remember the humidity, and I remember it was August, and I remember the heat. It was so strong, and it was like pea soup outside. You could feel it. You could feel it in the air. And there were times where it was just like unbearable. I mean, I've never, you know, consumed so many liquids and water just trying to stay hydrated because I was profusely sweating at all times.
It's called the moment where you sort of unplug and go into a place of nothingness. Shut your brain off. And you just sort of like mush it. You make it mush. Then when they say, ready, that's when you snap back. See, my brain is I'm resting my brain right now.
Hey Mike, I'm about to do my scene.
Oh, you're about to do your scene?
Yeah, do you mind if I have a moment
to mush your brain?
Exactly.
Sure.
Yeah.
Mush your brain. Yeah. Mush your brain. Yeah. There you go, man. This is Yosin. Yosin's mushing his brain now before he starts his scene.
My wife and kids came out here. They were out here for about 10 days, and my wife was just like, I can't believe you get to work here, live here, work here for 2 months, and you're getting paid, you know? And I was just like, yeah, it's hard work, babe. She was like, no, it's not. You live in Puerto Rico. It's not hard work. I don't want to hear that. I'm home with 4 kids while you're off in Puerto Rico for 2 months. I don't want to hear anything about hard work.
It's not something I'm used to. I mean, being from New Zealand, actually right now is peak winter in New Zealand. So coming from the cold to Puerto Rican heat, it's something else. It took a little while to adjust.
It was also storm season. Obviously, Puerto Rico has had its tragic history with storms, and we were worried that was going to wipe us out, but fortunately it didn't. We made it through without any major issues. We had a couple of storms, but nothing major.
It's a hell of a storm. What idiot sent them flying through that?
It was quite a dynamic situation down there. The weather was, from 5 minutes to the next 5 minutes, you could be in like a hurricane, and then it's so hot from just scorching sun. So we had to be able to adapt to that and make changes. We didn't have a whole lot of weather cover, if we had any, actually, because we shot the stage stuff at the end.
This shoot has been at times brutal. We have been shooting in very hot weather, often exposed all day to the sun. We're shooting on a plane that's moving constantly on these buses. We're getting shot at, there's running, there's people dying. So there's a physicality that's kind of different for this production.
I cut my foot open doing BTS for the frickin' thing, if you recall.
Hey everybody, my name is Daniela Pineda and I play Bonnie in the upcoming action film The Plane, starring Gerard Butler. We are halfway through production and we are so excited for you guys to see this in 2022.
Oh shit. You couldn't be out of shape and shoot this movie, or you're gonna get hurt. Again, they want everything to look realistic and have there be real panic, and I don't know how much running and jumping and things that we did. And if you want it to look real, you can't fake that.
Most of it is us being afraid, running away, trying to find an answer, trying to find a solution. And then the gimbal was the second part of the shoot, and you hear so much about it.
Soon I prepared this movie, I asked Mark Button, the producer, I need a gimbal. If you want something audience never see, I need a gimbal, and it's expensive, a gimbal. It's very expensive.
Yeah, we had to build the interior of the plane on the stage, both a cockpit, which is a set that we brought in from Los Angeles, and the coach class cabin, the fuselage of the plane. We basically took the guts out of the plane that we used on the runway, built a wooden structure around it to create the interior, and then the portion of that will also go on the gimbal so the passengers can bounce around.
That was the only approach, at least from my perspective. The first approach, shaking the camera and leaving a fuselage of the aircraft on the ground, nobody would believe any of that. Why would anybody choose to do something that is never going to be believed by anybody? So that's never an option.
So we basically set up the front cabin, the cockpit, and the passenger's cabin, but especially the cockpit. We had that in a pretty extreme gimbal, and we spent, about 2.5 weeks in there, myself and Yosin, my co-pilot, and that thing could move. It was like a fairground ride. It could throw you all over the place, and that was to simulate us going through the storm.
So I tried before, because to have the sensation, what the actors how they will feel. My God. It's good for me, maybe 1 minute, but they were all the day inside.
I've experienced turbulence, but acting that out on a plane, how easy is that going to be? And then we're told, guys, the plane's on a gimbal. The plane's going to move, and you're like, really? It was like we were so spoiled. Because I honestly think you could grab a guy off the street put them on that plane that we were on that gimbal, and they would be terrified.
And there's so many rumors going around of how bad it is and people telling you that have been on it, that it's like so terrifying and you're gonna puke, so you shouldn't eat. So I was ready for the worst, and I got on the gimbal and I was like, okay, whatever's gonna come, we're ready. And then I got on there and I was like, oh, this is actually not too bad.
The gimbal on the plane looks violent. It is violent, but I loved it. I loved it. I love theme parks. So I had a really, really fun time being on that thing. Every time we had a turbulence, it really just added to our performance because we didn't have to act. We were really being thrown around.
Captain, avionics are down. I have control. Copy that.
You know, sometimes when the aircraft moves, it knocks the camera a place you mightn't necessarily want it to go. But as long as you're still on the set, that looks real, because that's what would happen too. So it brings a realness with it that for some people, I think it's hard to, even with the best operators in the world, it's hard to fake that realness. There's some stuff you can do, but sometimes it's worth just do it for real.
And this thing was built for unpredictability and violent moves, and it could almost go right over in itself and then plunge back down to the ground and throw you to the side.
He was wounded for real. When he hit the wall, after the take, I saw blood.
Yeah, very physically draining. Especially when I hit my head, it definitely had an impact.
This is going to swell up.
You have ice?
Yeah, I'm getting both ice.
But I find that anytime it's challenging with that, especially when that is part of the environment that you're supposed to be in, it only really leads to the kind of the credibility and the feeling and the truth and the full immersion for the audience. When you're fully immersed, whether you have the choice or not, you're fully immersed as an actor. So are the audience.
So he was wounded. So for sure, I took the I took the take for sure.
The goddamn plane's falling apart!
For us as passengers, we are genuinely wearing our seatbelts.
Strap them in tight!
And we're in our seats. So we're quite safe. I was more always concerned with the crew, and the guys, and they're carrying these cameras, walking backwards at speed while the plane's doing this. And I was just like, this is nuts, The stunt coordinator should be with those guys, not us.
Some of the shots, I had to do one running backwards from the end of the aircraft into the cockpit, running backwards, handheld, with the mercenaries charging full blast at me. I hit a lot of seats like that because it was like that. That's not something, but it brings with it the realness that you do believe.
But yeah, touch wood, there were no bad injuries, which is, it's crazy. I mean, and that was the amazing thing with, Jean-François and his team was like, he would have this vision and you'd hear him being like, we should do this and then run backwards and then the plane shakes and all that. And I remember I'd be listening, just being like, how are they going to pull this off? Or when is someone going to say no? But I really think it's going to, the proof will be in the pudding.
And just those moments of heightened physicality on set are, I think, what elevated our movie beyond your standard action movie.